So Dylan says that he didn't know. Did you know that he had 98 rushing yards when he got that last run?
I didn't. Obviously, I don't pay too much attention on stats. It's more the scoreboard. Are we winning and losing? And so he somehow, some way found out that he had 98 yards. And first question was, "Hey, Coach, can I go back in for a play?" I'm like, "What for?" So, and then he finally told me. So I had to talk to the football guys for a little bit and see if I should put him back in or not. But luckily we did, and he was able to break the century mark.
I know, obviously, it's just a number. It's probably no different than 101 or 99. But what's it like to have him, kind of break that and have a rusher under Leach who hits 100 yards?
Obviously, it's a big success. I mean, we're happy in the room, and to be able to do that. And now, the big thing that I keep on preaching is, hey, we need multiple guys to be able to do it. So Woody and Simeon and JJ and the rest of those guys. So it was good for him to finally reach that mark, and now I'm looking for Woody and the rest of those guys to be able to do it.
Other than the obvious things, maybe somebody's dinged up or just tired, how do you decide who plays when in the series?
Kind of the same thing. It's who's fresh, and I hate playing from playing baseball. I'm a superstitious guy, and so I got a little superstitious thing that goes on, and so I don't want to give away my secrets. But no, majority of the time it's who's fresh.
As an offensive coach, how do you kind of coach the guys up to avoid being drawn off by a simulated snap count?
Obviously, it's just watching the ball, and just I try to tell them you got to have earmuffs the best you possibly can, and just watch the ball. And as soon as the ball's snapped, move as fast as you can.
Are your backs comfortable in the silent count mode? Are you guys comfortable with the silent count mode?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. The same thing. I mean, it's everybody. Probably the offensive line probably has the toughest, trying to be able to hear and whenever Q's giving that snap count and some of that other stuff. But our big thing is just watching the ball.
Last year, they didn't just go exclusively drop eight. They had 4 and sometimes 5 guys up there. In a couple plays, they even had as many as 7 in the box. What do you expect? Do you expect more of the same? I mean, because obviously the drop eight didn't work last week. So, kind of, what do you anticipate?
I think a combination of stuff, and obviously we've been preparing for it. I think Coach Stoops over there does a heck of a job, and the defensive coordinator to give you different looks and that type of stuff. So, obviously we're going to have to do a bunch of different things to make sure we communicate and talk and do our job the best we possibly can.
This morning on the teleconference, Coach Leach was talking about balanced offense. He was asked about it. He said he doesn't believe in this idea of 50-50, whatever. He said balance to him is getting all the playmakers pretty much equal touches with the ball. Is that what y'all factor into when you bring back room?
Absolutely.
You've got several guys who can run.
Absolutely. I mean, as balanced, quote unquote, as you can keep it, and trying to get your playmakers the ball is the biggest thing. And so, we try to emphasize that. And Will's been doing an unbelievable job, and the offensive line have been doing a good job of protecting and creating some holes in the run game and that type of stuff. So if you're able to produce, hey, we're going to get the rock to you.
A little topic of conversation this week with a shoulder pass is a pass or run. What's your take on that?
Oh, it's definitely a run.
Do you like that implemented in the offense?
Yo, I love it. I mean, it keeps guys off balance a little bit, and rushing upfield and doing some of that other stuff. It just now puts a little bit of thought in their mind of, hey, this easy pass rush. All of a sudden, hey, it's getting shovel passed down and being able to work from there. So it's been good. It's been productive.
Do players think about playing on turf, or do you put the mind in the head, or just let them play?
Just let them play. I'm like, just let them play. I said, hey, you got shoes on, you got feet and that type of stuff, and let's see how fast those feet can run, whether we're on grass or on turf.
Do you make any adjustment with the footwear? I mean, years ago with that old generation turf, I mean, there were 2 different kinds of shoes. Do you make any adjustment with that?
No, we don't. I mean, it's you got to think about it. Those guys have grown up playing on turf. It seems like. I mean, us back in the day, a long time ago, all it was grass or AstroTurf. So it's nothing new to them. I think sometimes they think that they feel faster, and so I'm kind of big. It's all up in your mind just a little bit, but no, grass, turf, it doesn't really matter.
Well, Coach, your guys appeared to have had a pretty good week last week. I mean, after you graded the film, what were your impressions?
Not bad. Hit some big plays. Still not executing as high as they can. Still room to improve. Still more consistency to be gained. But a decent group, and they're doing some good things. But still can get better. Need to get better.
Seen some more Justin Robinson, obviously, the last couple of weeks. What have you thought of how he's kind of stepped into that role?
Well, he's always been I tell him he's my best looking receiver. He's a guy of consistency and just everything he's got to do. He's made some plays, done some good things, and he still has a couple sloppy plays away from the ball, so he can be a better player. And unfortunately, sometimes the better you look, sometimes the expectation is higher for you. So the standard I kind of hold him to is higher than somebody who doesn't look as good as him. And he can play better. He can live up a little better to that. So I'm going to constantly press him to see how good of a player he can be. Hopefully he can play as good as he looks one day.
You talk a lot about, and all the coaches do, about competition brings out the best in guys. And obviously you got competition each week, regardless of what you did on Saturday. Obviously you got a tough job, but how much easier does that make your job?
It's really good. And again, I grade my guys. I play 4 guys throughout the early parts of the game, hopefully. And whoever grades out better starts next week. So they compete pretty good through all that stuff, and I got little stats and little charts and little numbers that I hold them to. But yeah, and they know if they have a bad play, like the one that Duck and fumbled that play, was in there one snap and he was out, and Justin Robinson was in the next one. So yeah, we're held accountable to a high standard, and it's awfully nice to know that you got another guy that can go in there and play and be comfortable playing. If a guy's not playing as well as he can play.
How's Xavier coming along from the offensive standpoint?
Doing well. He and Jordan Mosley went in there and had 2 good catches last week. So both those guys are good players, and that's a good problem to have. And those guys, when they get their opportunity to play, I think they'll be ready to go.
Working is Dortch outside?
He's an inside guy,
Inside.
Mojo, but he's good enough to play outside.
What are your thoughts about Kentucky so far?
They're a good team, and this will be a tough game. On the road at night in the SEC is always a challenge, and we got to be ready to play. They've had some plays here and there that weren't really typical of a Kentucky defense sometimes, but they're a good team. They know how to play, and they're tough on defense, and we're expecting a good battle, and we know we got to execute at a high level to go beat these guys.
From the sacks numbers, it doesn't seem like they get too much pressure. I guess what do they do to still have one of the better, passing defenses?
Well, they don't blitz a lot. I think it's one of the reasons. They may not have a ton. I don't keep up with that as much, but they'll be sound in what they do. We expect them to play kind of similar to what they did last year, which was, they had us 10-0 for most of that first half, it seemed like. So we'll have to, find holes and throw completions and hit the open ground where we have it.
Through 6 games, only one team has thrown for 200+ yards against them. I mean, you look at what they do in the secondary. I mean, how have they been so successful in pass defense?
They cover well, and they drop some guys and squeeze them down, and they do a good job. I don't know how many teams they've played that really try to throw the ball a whole lot, but yeah, they've been good. So we keep an eye on what they do, but whoever else is throwing on them, we don't particularly care too much about that. We've watched more of our game from last year, honestly, than Florida or Ole Miss. Ole Miss does some good things, but they go so fast that it kind of changes up what you're going to see. So we got a good feeling on what we're going to see this week.
When a guy's throwing as confidently as Will is, making the decisions he does, how much freedom does that give you to maybe push the limits and try different things with your receivers, outside or inside guys?
Well, what we do is what we do. So there's no limits or no change on what we do now. How we call plays and being comfortable to get in some third down and manageable situations and being able to convert some good fourth downs allows you to play the game. So I know as the game's played and as the game's called, we feel good about what we're calling. But what we do is pretty specific to exactly what the play's called and what the defense gives us.
Another road trip, Kentucky. What do you think about their offense?
Oh, give you everything, right? Pro style attack, a lot of formations. Spread you out, get really condensed, a lot of motions, and obviously some really talented players. I mean, the running back Rodriguez is there's a reason he was an All SEC guy a year ago, and he's just now having to miss the first few games. You can tell he's getting back into the swing of things. He's downhill, running the heck out of the ball. Big physical O-line who leans on you and moves you on the line of scrimmage. And then they did a really nice job in recruiting at receiver position. They got a couple freshmen, man, who are going to be, they're already making plays, but they're going to be big time receivers in this league for many years to come. And then did a nice job in the transfer portal. Went and got Robinson kid out of Virginia Tech. So
Opposing running games have had a little bit of success this year, but for the most part, they'll handle us pretty well. What is it in your mind?
I think the job our offense has done, scoring points and the situations in games have kind of probably been our best run defense so far. When you get up by multiple scores and you get there in the second half, teams are forced to throw the ball a little bit. It kind of negates the run game. But we're still a little frustrated with our ability to control the run, stop the run right now, and so it's a point of emphasis. But it's been a point of emphasis all year and hadn't showed up well enough yet. So we know we know we're going to get tested with it this week.
Sounds like from Mark Stoops on the teleconference today that Will Levis is going to be playing. I guess what do you remember from him last year, and what makes him a potential first-round NFL quarterback?
Anytime you're built like that and you can make every throw on the field, I mean, and then he has the ability to pull it down and run and hurt you with his legs. He's not your typical quarterback. He doesn't really look to slide. He looks to jump over you or run through you. But I mean, he got a quick release. He put the ball anywhere on the field, and there's certainly a reason why he's projected to maybe be the first quarterback taken in the draft.
Your defense created some turnovers last year, and I know you'd love to do that, but you can't really depend on that. How can you kind of keep those guys maybe locked in play by play against an offense like Kentucky?
Well, I mean, obviously, everyone talks about generating turnovers. Sometimes those things come because you're in the right position or you're running the ball hard and you can strip a guy and force a fumble. But I mean, it comes down to execution. If you want to, everyone loves rushing the passer on third down and getting in exotic looks and bringing pressures or simulating pressures. Well, it means you got to execute and do your job on first and second down. And so, when you're facing a team who's built to run the ball and then obviously play action pass, bootleg, play action pass, deep shots with a quarterback who can throw it probably 80 yards in the air if he wants to. That's put some serious stress on a defense to defend all of that. And so you got to be really disciplined with your eyes. Obviously, you got to get lined up first, be in the right place, be looking at the right things, and then execute.
Coach Spurrier was saying that for them offensively, they more so look at the film from last year's matchup as opposed to Kentucky's game so far this year. I guess what's that like for you guys defensively?
Oh well, we have the benefit of not being an air raid offense where our opponent hasn't gone up against we watch the film, the offense that they've run in all their games up to this point, and obviously we can look back to what they did against us last year and had success because even though it's a different coordinator, they both come from pro style systems. You see some similarities, but there's certainly plenty of differences, and there's different players. There's a lot of different players. So we look at what they've done the first 6 games and go off of that.
You mentioned some of the plays your team has given up. At the same time, they've been able to bounce back and either play the next play or, after a touchdown, play the next series. What's the resilience this group has to be able to do that?
That's I think credit goes to Coach Leach and obviously the culture he's built here in the program. But you'll hear him say it all the time. You got to play the next play, no matter what happened on that play that just happened. You can't do anything but it now. You got to play the next one.
They've had a lot of success on play action passes, especially in second and third medium. With that in mind, how important is it to win on first down and kind of get those guys behind the chains of death?
I mean, anytime you got Rodriguez back there and Smoke, their other running back, got a bunch of running backs, but if they can consistently turn around, hand it off for 5 yards a pop on first down and run it at you, well then everyone gets screwed in a little tighter and you expose yourself more to play action pass, and they got some receivers who can really go. You got to get offenses behind the chains if you're going to have control of the situation. If they're playing ahead of the chains, you're back on your heels on defense.
A late kick this game. What do you do to keep your guys either relaxed or engaged during the afternoon Saturday waiting for the game?
We traveled to Arizona and played what was a 10 p.m. local kick time, so no excuses. I mean, you kick off when you kick off, and you got to get on the field and execute and play.